Hello, it's Rob Speciale again. We're going to do another video on Google Classroom for those who need it. I have my test classroom set up right here. What I'm going to do is go through the basics of creating an assignment. I don't want to get too fancy, and I'll highlight a couple of things that you can try out on your own. Um, but basically, I'm just going to go through the bare bones. Here's how you create something that gets it to the students where they turn something in and then you're able to assess it. And I realize in the situation that we're in right now, we're not assigning homework, we're not grading anything, or anything like that. However, you could still like give them assignments where they have to kind of interact with you, kind of thing, and create stuff for you, which is still widely available given the tools we have here. Of course, this all assumes that the student has an internet connection, has the ability to get on Google Classroom from home, which there are apps for in Android and iPhone. If they have a PC, if they have a Chromebook, um, any smartphone, then they should be fine. So I'm going to go through the basics here really quick. First thing I just wanted to go over before I get to the assignments is here's the main page. It looks like a stream, just like any other social media kind of thing, like Twitter or Facebook or whatever. From here, you can very quickly share something with your students. So if I click on this thing here, it's going to say, who is this for? And it's going to give you a list of all the Google Classrooms you have. So you can actually make a post that goes to multiple classrooms, but don't worry about that really right now. Um, you can control who sees what post. Right now, I only have one student in our class here. But if you had multiple, you can kind of share things only with specific students, which I do actually use quite a bit of time. And from this page, you can share four main different types of items. If you have a document in your Google Drive that you want to share with the student, you can connect to your Google Drive and share that document there. A link, which is the example I'm going to show, is just a link to a website. If you want to share some type of web resource, like here's the link to Khan Academy, or here's an article I found you'd find interesting, you can do it that way. A file, which is if you have a file physically on your computer, when you click that, you browse to that file, connect it to this post, and you share that with the students. And then lastly, a YouTube video. If you go to YouTube and you have a link, the actual link to that particular YouTube file, video, you can post that video on here through Google Classroom. The example I'm going to show, I'm going to do a link and say I want to share Star Wars.com. And that. So now that link is there. You can't post anything until you fill the little text box here describing your post. Here is the alternate website for you to enjoy. Okay. You can also, and I'm not going to really go through this now, but you can schedule your posts. So say if you had shared a link to a quiz or some online thing, you can make the post at night and tell it, don't post this until 8 a.m. That way it's available. That way if you're working from home or if you're working outside of regular class hours, you can stage all your stuff and then schedule it so that the next day you come in, it all automatically posts. Here I'm going to make the post in real time. So as I post that, usually takes a second. There you go. If you go over to my student now, which would be, I'm using Barbara's account. There you go. She sees the post. Here's the ultimate website. She clicks the link. Then boom, there you go, StarWars.com. Gone with the Trace. Very good episode of Clone Wars, the final season, by the way. Okay, so that is the basics for just sharing stuff on your Google Classroom feed. Students are able to comment. Sometimes in some classes I turn this off because it's like, middle school 8th graders tend to want to just type hey like 80,000 times in there, and it makes it not useful. High schoolers are a little bit better about it, where if you wanted to post an article and say, what are your opinions on this, and have that student dialogue kind of thing going on, this is a good engine for that. All right, the second thing I wanted to show was how to create an assignment. So we're going to go back to the teacher view for this. Let me get rid of that. So here's the teacher view for this, and I'm going to create an assignment. What you would do is click on this link that says classwork, and you'll get to a page. Now, I'm going to do the simplest, most direct way for doing this. There are a lot of pieces to this, and I can do separate videos on all of it, but I just want to start with the basic. I'm going to create an assignment. You see that there's other options here. I can go through those options in a later time. I'm going to make an assignment. what it's going to ask is for you to title it. So, opinion article on Star Wars. And then you have a space for instructions, right? So I would write something like write a opinion paper on the benefits of using a lightsaber over a regular blaster as advertised in the article. Right, and you'd put whatever other. I'm not going to sit here and type all the time. Really, lightsaber is one word. I'm going to add that to my dictionary. And you can give other instructions here. Usually, what I do: Times New Roman, double space, 12-point font, that kind of stuff. Expanded directions for an opinion article. I'd probably write something like, "Do you agree with the author? Do you disagree? Why?" Find other links, find other articles that talk about this topic, and see if there's anything different, like that kind of stuff. Over here, you can actually assign a point value to your assignment, which is helpful as they turn it in. Just if you're grading an Infinite Campus, you can have all the grades right there. Due date. So say I want to say this is due on Friday, so we can leave that there. Topic. You could create a topic and call this writing, because we're doing an opinion article. That way, every assignment that you create, and I'll show you on one of my actual ones what it looks like. You can group the assignments by topic. That way, if you're looking for something from the past, you can only have to look in the writing group to find it, as opposed to just a long stream of nothing but assignments. The other thing that it's got here is the rubric. I don't use this yet because all my rubrics are on paper, and I don't feel like doing the data entry to recreate a rubric that I already have, and it's easier for me to just look at the rubric while I'm grading something digital. However, if you find this useful, you can create a rubric, and there's a whole lot of typing going on here that I just don't want to recreate the wheel when I don't have to. However, if you're starting from scratch, this might be something that you may find of benefit. So I'm going to discard that. Originality reports, I think, is Google's way of looking at plagiarism and everything. This is also something that I haven't really used yet, but I would recommend giving it a try and seeing how that works. All right, so here's your basic assignment. The other thing you can do if you want is you can add the link to the article you want them to use. I'm just going to make it add that link to here. You can also create a Google Doc. So if you have a template for them to use, you can put that on there. It actually opens up Google Docs separately. Okay, so you can kind of do that. And what I like doing is make a copy for each student. So if you have a template in a Google document that you want to force kids to use, you attach this and make one copy for each student. That way, John Doe opens up their Google assignment. They have their own template for this. Mary opens it up. She has her own template, and so forth. So that way, when they submit it, it's individualized. You're ready to go. You hit assignment. It takes a second. It takes more than a second. Sometimes, nothing ever goes as fast as I want it. So, okay, so now you go back to the stream. You'll see that there's an assignment here. How this looks for the student is sometimes you have to refresh because it's not going to show it. It shows for the student now that there is an assignment. If they click the classwork, you'll see now it's grouped under writing. If we had multiple topics, there'd be multiple subheadings. Here's the article. Click on the assignment. It gives you the instructions. Here's the links. You hit view assignment. I gave her a Google Doc to use. However, if she wrote it in Microsoft Word, you could just link it to here. I'll actually do that. Actually, what I'll do is this. So here's the assignment. Student writes whatever they're going to do. Say blah. When you're done, you're going to hit turn in. The student's going to hit turn in. I'm logged into like multiple things. So this is it. It's going to say, "You sure?" I'm absolutely sure. Just Finish. That. This is turned in now. It'll say it right there that it's turned in. You go back, you can close all this up now. You go back from the teacher view. Here's the assignment I created. One person was assigned, one person turned it in. If I view assignment now, it'll list, and usually there's like a whole bunch more students over here. Here's what Barbara Ann Speciale created. I click that, it shows me the Google document that I just did. And then I can grade it. We made this a 100-point thing. I say, you only wrote blah. Barbara, you stink. Here's 5 points for writing the word blah. And you fail. And you can actually return this to the student, because once they submit it, they can't access that Google document anymore. Say, I give it a 5, and I'm like, redo this. Now I return it to her. Now she has access to that document again. She could fix it and resubmit it. That's the basics right there. It is not very difficult, and I encourage you that if you've never used Google Classroom before, to experiment with it. One of the best ways to learn about technology is to use it, break it, fail with it, and then figure it out. A lot of people look at me like I'm like Mr. Technology, because I use it all the time. But in reality, half the time I don't know what I'm doing. I just know how to figure it out really quickly. And that's really the best way to learn technology, in my opinion. And that's what I kind of promote with my students. So, next video, I'll go over like some of the other different assignments that you can create, and go from there. If you got any questions, shoot me an email. Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you guys later.